to speak to Ray Brown. Ray Brown is the founder of a company called Archibiz, who are a consultancy that helps architectural practices run their business.
Yep, nice to see you.
Ray, how are you?
I'm well. I'm very well.
Thank you for coming on board.
Yeah, no problem at all. No big problem at all. Maybe tell you a bit about Archibiz.
Yeah, sure.
So I've been a business coach for many years. I had a long business career in Scotland. You maybe picked up the accent.
Just a little bit of the brogue still there.
Just a bit. Came here in 2005, and I've been a business coach since then. But last 5 years, we've focused on architects. And the original idea was to download all my business knowledge and have online programs that would allow me to go and lie on a beach all the time, but it hasn't come to pass. So we've got two sides of the business. We've got a consultancy business that provides ongoing support for architectural practices, and then we've got an online business that provides group training and self-guided training to practices, and we're doing that across the world. We've got clients in Europe and Canada, UK as well. I don't know if we include the UK with Europe now. But
not anymore, no.
But no, it's going very well. We've got lots of happy clients, and we're still learning. We're learning what it means to run an architectural practice, and just getting progressively more, hopefully, insightful about the process that these guys have to undergo.
So what are you hearing from architectural practices right now? What are the challenges that they're facing?
Yeah, it's tough at the moment. It's across the board. Prices are rising, projects being put on hold, planning's taking longer than it used to. But I have to say that architects have always been telling me, as have a lot of other business people, that things are tough at the moment. You know, things are really tough. And I think what people need to remember is that everybody's in the same market. Okay, you're all operating with the same constraints. There's not someone down the road who's got it easy and you've got it tough. So it's what can you do to control the things that you can control, and take advantage of the situation. A lot of people make a lot of money in difficult times. And from our perspective, they do that because they run better businesses. They know what they're doing. Everybody can make money in the good times. But when it comes to the tough times, like perhaps we're going through at the moment, we know plenty of architectural practices that are doing really well, 15-20% on the bottom line.
Oh, wow, fantastic.
Yeah, and that's after paying a good salary or a market salary to the owners. We often find profit being a little bit used.
Elusive?
Yeah, a bit elusive, and also tied up with the owner's income.
Yeah, no, I agreed. Look, and we're certainly hearing very similar feedback from the market at the moment. You know, we're particularly projects that are reliant on private funding. That those are quite challenging at the moment, just due to cost of funding more generally, but also just generally the cost of actually building projects, and that's meaning that projects are much slower working through that pipeline, and that makes it very, very challenging for architectural practices. So when faced with a market that is slowing, what do practices normally do? Okay,
we hear practices, we just need more clients. We just need more clients, and we don't have enough work. And really, we say to architectural practices, there's much more that you can control beyond that. Yeah, of course, everybody wants more clients. But we really should think abundantly. There are clients out there. So our advice to people is it's not go looking for more clients, but to make it easier for the right clients to find you. Okay? So are you doing all the things internally that will allow those clients that you're actually looking for to come and knock on your door? And really, that comes down to running a better business. And we speak about the 4 Ps. So number 1 is the practice itself. You've got to run a good practice, a well-run business, good financial reporting. Second P is project. So how do you run your projects? You may be running on tight margins, but are you actually making those margins? Are you working hard to deliver something at the end that's not contributing any money to the business? That can happen. Then the third P is people. So how do you manage your people, utilization, capacity? And a lot of these things are quite novel for architects. They have a little bit of a narrative going on about we're not very good at business and we're good architects, but no one's taught us very much about business. And that, I think that's a bit of a crutch. You know, it's there to be, business is not complex, but you've got to learn the rules of the game. And the fourth P is what we call perception. So how is your practice perceived in the market? How are you perceived internally? And quite often that's I was just looking at a website this afternoon before I came on this call, and it was very typical of an architect's practice. Picture of a building, picture of another building, picture of another building. Tells you nothing about the values of that company or how they're going to solve my problems better than somebody down the road. So architects typically rely on the work to do the speaking for them. And that's such a short-sighted approach, because whether they like to hear it or not, there's a lot of people can do what they can do. Okay, they might do it slightly different, but it's more important that you build, you know, a really good story around your practice. You know, what is the story of your practice? What makes you different? Why do people come to you? And I think that we've been telling stories for thousands of years, and yet we rely on PowerPoint and technology, and tell a good story. That's what engages with people.
Okay, so we always see that when the market starts to slow, practices tend to try to chase new project sectors. Let's diversify, let's bring in work in other areas, and they seem to expend a lot of time, effort, and energy in chasing work that they have no real expertise in. So you're saying that's not the right way to go, and they should just be focusing on doing what they do and doing it better.
I think that's right. I think one would hope that prior to the difficult times they had specialised. So we speak about, we call it the mountain of sustainable success, and that's specialise, systemise, and then scale. And quite often architects do a bit of specialisation, they then grow, and then they come to us and say, can you help us with systems and processes? And we find ourselves backfilling that. But specialisation, I think, what are you known for in the market? If you're going to diversify all of a sudden, there are going to be other people in the market who are better known for that sector, who've got experience in that sector. And what I would say to people who are thinking like that is, if I lined up 100 people against the wall who were all in the market to buy your product, the thing that you've specialised in the past, how many of them would have you in the top 3? How many of them would know about you to the extent that they would go, if we want a job done, we're going to go to that practice there? And the typical response we get is 8%, 10% of the market, if you're lucky. Particularly with small practices, they've got a minuscule share of the market and a minuscule awareness in the market. So the opportunity to turn that 8% into 16 and 20% by good marketing and good networking and good use of referrals, these are all opportunities to get out there, and the work is there. Architects are not closing down left, right, and centre. Okay, there's still a need in the marketplace for people to use architects. So I think it's shifting from the mindset of scarcity, well, there's not enough work, we've got to look somewhere else, to thinking abundant, that the work is there. We just need to find a way to let those people knock on our door, cross the bridge to us, and be really aware very quickly that we are a good bet for solving their problem.
So not to oversimplify, but is that a situation where practices really just need to figure out more how to connect with their clients, you know, where to go to the networking events that their clients will go to, and those sorts of things?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So most people have come across the concept of personas or avatars, and you really can go very deep with these people that you're trying to attract. Who are they? What are their values? You're right. Where do they show up? What do they read? What's their view on different things? And you want people to very quickly get the feeling that you deal with their tribe, what we call their tribe. I feel at home in this group. Okay, this company obviously deals with people just like me. And that if you take something as simple as photographs of people, you're lucky if you find a photograph of the team on an architect's website. You'll never find a client photograph. You might maybe get a written testimonial, but get a video of someone showing the camera around the new house that you've built, how they're feeling about that. One of my clients did a video, was a couple who had a house in the city. They built a house at the beach, and she described what it was like to leave the city, go down to the beach on a Friday night, make a meal for her husband, have a swim in the lovely swimming pool. And I guarantee you, people were watching that video going, I would quite like to feel like that. Maybe I should look at these people as delivering that kind of feeling to me. That goes way beyond just showing somebody a building, whether that be exterior or interior.
Mm-hmm. Okay. You mentioned earlier about effectively cost control on projects.
Yeah.
And again, typically we find that architects probably find it difficult to price in proper profit margins on projects because they feel like if they're too high there, they'll miss the job. How do you coach practices on not only pricing a job at a proper level, but then also managing each stage of that project so that they do maintain their profit margins?
Yeah, so we could spend a half a day on this one. This is
yeah, I bet.
This is huge, and it's one that's very pertinent to us at the moment. We've been thinking a lot about this over the last year, and to some extent, I think architects, at the risk of being controversial, get it wrong. They use charge-out rates and they use all sorts of mechanisms to spread the costs and recover their overheads and things. I think they need to keep it really simple. Okay, so a job comes in, you work out how many hours it's going to take, and then you work out the cost of those hours. Okay, step 1 and step 2.
Yep.
Step 3 is then you go to the client and you say, what's the best price I can get for this job? Okay, and that really has no connection to the cost if you really think about it. You get the best price you can from the client that's going to win you the job. So then you've got a selling price and a cost price, and the difference is your margin. Okay, a real hard cash margin. So it's a bit like selling t-shirts. If you sell a t-shirt for $20 that costs you $3, you make $17 profit, gross profit. If you have a sale and you reduce the $20 to $17, you're only going to make $14. That's the kind of thinking I think architects have to have. They've got to be really clear on margin control and treat every job different, and every stage of every job is going to be different. What is the budgeted hours on this job? We meet so many architects who they've got 2 types of hours, project hours and non-project hours, when really they need 3 types. They need project hours billable, somebody's going to pay for those hours. Project hours non-billable, so that's the stuff that they do because they just want to get it right. But nobody's going to pay for those hours.
Correct, yeah.
They're unpaid hours. And then you've got...
And there's always a lot of those, yeah.
There's a lot of those, but in most practices that we come across, they lump them all together. And sometimes it's even worse. They call project hours billable hours, and when they really mean project hours, because nobody's going to pay that amount of... If you've gone over budget by 20 or 30 or 40%, that's a gift to the client. You've given them 3 hours, nobody's going to pay for it. You may squeeze a bit of variation out at the end, but much better to budget the hours and then stick to the hours and keep the quality up. So that's the management of the project side of running a good practice.
I also hear from a lot of clients that they end up burning part of their fees with effectively project scope creep, where clients ask them to do a little bit extra and a little bit extra and a little bit extra, and all of a sudden they realize that they've done a lot extra. Yeah.
And I think I had that very conversation with a client this morning, and that scope creep is it's about getting the specifications right in the first instance, and then being assertive with the client. Of course we can do that, but it will cost you. If you want us to do that extra work, here you are. And I think the good architects can afford to be assertive. They've got that confidence to, if you want to work with me, you've got to pay the going rate.
But couldn't agree more. I tend to find that most of the time when clients actually, when practices have those conversations with their clients, the clients understand. It's a reticence to have those conversations that causes the problem in the first place. If you have the conversations and manage expectations with those clients out there, then you're a much better chance of getting something either not done in the first place. Oh, I didn't realize it's going to cost that many hours for you to do, or they'll pay you for it.
Correct. And I sometimes say to our clients, what is the business model of architecture? And it's quite simple. You turn hours into money. And architects hate when I say that, because we design these beautiful buildings and we're passionate and all that good stuff. But there's a lot of passionate business people in the world doing other types of work. Your business model is you buy hours from people, you sell those to clients, and you produce great work in between. And the more efficiently you turn those hours into money, the more successful and profitable your business is going to be, because you're going to have money to invest. Profit's not a dirty word. In architecture, there's a little bit of strange attitude to money and profit. And I did sit in a panel many years ago where we were speaking to an audience of fairly starving small architectural practices. And I was speaking about business, and someone on the panel took the microphone, an old grey-haired chap, a bit like me now, and he said, what you people have got to remember is we're not a business, we're not an industry, we're a profession. Now, I have no idea what that means. No idea at all. And I still get that sort of feel coming back from architects sometimes, that, we're not really in business, we're not really about making a profit. It's about the art.
So it's an interesting point then that you raised there. So what are the pushback points from practices that they find the most difficult to implement or the difficult to understand?
I think it's comes straight from university and architectural schools, that you do good buildings, you get some awards, the phone will ring. Okay. And I've met so many frustrated, disillusioned architects who are sitting by the phone, waiting for the phone to ring because they've won some awards, they've done some great buildings, but they haven't built a business. Okay. So what we tell people is that it's a good business that leads to good architecture, not good architecture that leads to good business. Business is the foundation for you to build a good practice. And if you don't have a good business, and you're very reliant on your work, and as I said earlier, it comes through on the website. Here's our work, here's what we do, and then I'll sit back with my arms folded, and you come and knock on the door and buy some of that from me. It's almost naive, really, and very dangerous, because you can run out of work, and you've got no levers to pull. You can't turn up your marketing or improve your referral sources, because you don't have any of those processes in place to work on.
So if a practice calls you and gets you in, what's the process you go through, and then how do we progress?
Okay, so we've got a range of offers that we have. We've got what we call the Designing Architectural Practice Success Program, which is the signature online program. We do that as a group. So we record the group and people get the discussion. We also do that live, but twice a year. Excuse me, for a group of 8-10 architects. Then the consultancy side, we can do a business review. So come and have a look at your practice, speak to your staff, speak to your clients, look at your website, look at your financials, and give you a report as to exactly where you are now. And then we provide ongoing coaching, and that's probably the jewel in the crown, if you like. And what we reckon is the secret sauce is the monthly board meeting. So we meet with the client once a month. We operate as the chair of the board, if you like, and we hold the business to account. We make sure the financial reporting is working, the operations reporting is working, sales and marketing. So it's an hour and a half once a month. And that's when you work on the business, not in the business. So everyone says you've got to work on the business, not in the business, but nobody tells you how to do that.
Yep.
We know how to do that, okay? And we see progressive improvement in practices, because if we meet once a month and we take 5 decisions, however small, that's 60 in a year. That business will transform in the course of a year. So it's that discipline of meeting, same time, same place every month, agenda, minutes, behave like a real business, and that level of accountability on behalf of the business is transformational for most practices. They're too busy doing the doing. But because we're not architects, none of the people in Archibiz are architects, which is great, because most people who are helping architects and doing really good work, but they tend to be ex-architects who've run their own practice, and yeah, they may have got it right, but we feel that we bring a level of objectivity and knowledge and experience from other industries that is different to architecture.
Okay. Can you maybe, without obviously going into any confidences, but can you maybe share a success story of a practice that you've been working with and what they were able to achieve by going through this process?
Yeah, absolutely. I can tell you about a practice, a lady. We meet a lot of disillusioned architects.
I'm sure.
And they come to us and say, you're our last chance. If you don't help us get it right, we're going to go and work for someone else. And I met this lady. She was a single mum. She'd had a one go in business, and she said, "No, you're my last chance. I'm going to invest in you guys, and let's see where we get to." And she has built a very successful business. I think there's 6 people now. They have a waiting list for clients to come on their books. I won't give you some of the secrets of their marketing, but they've been very, very innovative. And now they actually take a deposit to join the waiting list. Okay, so we can't start your project until next February or next March, or even longer. But they just operate like a real slick business. They know their margins. They report regularly every month. They've got a practice manager who's not an architect, which is often a good sign in an architectural practice, where you've got someone doing the back office financial marketing stuff and not distracting from the sort of architectural side. So she's been really successful. I had a client in Melbourne. I won't tell you too much about them, you might know who they are, but a couple of guys, again, sitting by the phone, mid-40s, really been working hard for 15, 20 years and not seeing the rewards. And we just got them operating like a real business. I think they've got 12 people, consistently good profit, consistently winning jobs, and 15 to 20% profit should be the target for every architectural practice. Pay yourself a decent wage and then get 15 to 20% profit in return for employing people, taking risks, sleepless nights, all the stuff that we know involved in running an architectural practice.
Look, I would regularly have conversations with small to medium-sized practice owners who complain that last financial year they paid this person way more than they paid themselves. They once told me that they actually paid themselves less than a graduate wage one year. Yeah.
I mean, how stupid? How stupid is that? It's a
lot of risk for not much reward.
No, I'm quite harsh with architects. Why would you continue doing that? You're not a charity. I know you're passionate about what you do, but why would you do that? Why would you even tell me that you're being paid less than the people that work for you? That's not a badge of glory. That's a sign of stupidity in my view. If you're not taking all the steps you can to fix that, if you're still working out the same toolbox and the same way of working that you've been for the last 5 or 10 years, then really you've only got yourself to blame, right? And we quite often get a version of, I feel like a well-meaning amateur when it comes to business. That's what people tell us. When it comes to business, nobody's showing us what to do. And what we say to people is, business, it's a bit like snakes and ladders. Okay, it took me 10 minutes to teach my 7-year-old grandson how to play snakes and ladders, maybe even he was younger. And now he can come and play and understand. But had he come up to that game and nobody had done the 10-minute explanation, you wouldn't know where to start. Ladders and reptiles and coloured squares, and that's what business is like to a lot of architects. It's just that it's a bit of a muddle, and we'll do the best we can. But there are really well-run architectural practices out there, for sure. But there are a lot, particularly the smaller ones, who, they're just working really hard for not a lot of return, and it doesn't have to be like that.
Okay, so what advice would you give somebody who's thinking of starting their own practice?
Do our DAPS program. I think, and be a little bit facetious, but we don't give people all the basics, the nuts and bolts. We just give the high level, the strategic overview of business, whether that be financially, operationally, or sales and marketing, and getting the language right, understanding simple things. There's one that we speak about building efficiency. How do you decide who does what in an architectural practice? Well, when you think about it, it should be the lowest cost resource that's competent to do the job, that can provide the quality that the client needs. Now, even just listing those three things, people go, oh, gee, so it's not just the people who are available or who can do the work and happens to be there. No, if I have that principle in the back of my mind, and I'm not doing work below my pay grade, we get people saying, I can't afford a bookkeeper, but I do that myself at night. But they're the same people that haven't got time to do their website. Okay, so they're doing a $30 an hour job that they could pay someone else to do when they're not doing the $200 a job that the business really needs them to do. And that kind of strategic thinking, you really need to be taught that, because trying to figure that out for yourself along the way is, it's going to take a long time, and you may never get there.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's obviously where you come in. So
absolutely.
If anybody wants to get in contact with you, how should they go about it, Ray?
Okay, you can send me an email at ray@archibiz.global, ARCHIBIZ.global. We couldn't get .com, but .global has served us well, and we are now operating globally. So Ray,
you've grown into it,
happy to have a coffee with either online or face-to-face, depending where people are, and we can have a chat about any. I love speaking about architectural practices. If we can help, we can do that. If not, we can point you in the right direction.
Fantastic. Brilliant, Ray. Well, thank you so much for your time. I'm sure that you'll get lots of phone calls out of this, so fingers crossed.
All right. Thanks, Leigh. It's been great spending time with you.